I'm always getting old people TikTok, so I asked them to like send me more TikToks so that I can get the algorithm thinking that like, hey, this guy actually likes enjoying watching stuff that younger people do.
Wait, I know you danced.
Wait.
you danced. I want those dancing videos.
It's gonna be here in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah, but Hi Aaron, glad to have you with us. So welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on the show, guys. It's been a while since I've been on a podcast, so I think this should be fun.
Before we start, Aaron,
Yep.
we had a shoot recently.
Yes, we did.
Revealing to you the results
On the podcast.
on the
Nice,
podcast.
nice.
So what I'll do first, I'll show the BTS first.
Right.
And roll.
I'm in my modeling era now, I guess. Oh, nice. Dude, you did a lot of work to make me look good there. Thank you very much.
You did a lot of it.
I was sweating so
It was
much.
really hot.
It was.
hot.
It was. It's killer, dude. Somebody was asking me like how I wear these clothes in Singapore. You just have to retreat
Right.
quickly.
I saw you posted about this denim. It's really hot, right? This is really warm, right?
Yeah. But I was on a rooftop that day, so like, actually no, like I put it on, I take the photo, then I take it off when I was there. If I'm in air conditioning, it's fine lah. Wow, these are nice shots. Wow.
By taking off the denims, you mean your pants or?
No, the pants stay on
The
lah.
jacket.
No, actually the pants off, just the jacket on, right?
No wonder it's so hot. The weather is so extra hot.
Oh, I can feel the sun, like even
Already?
here in this air conditioned room, man. Memories of sun. Nice, I love it. These are great, man.
Yeah, okay, great. Awesome. Something like this.
Yes,
Engaging with you, putting out there and then doing a collab post later is also on a small part like content strategy.
for sure.
You know, maybe you can give us a little bit of background. What are you up to these days? I just want.
Yeah. So, I mean, most recently, like you mentioned, I was the head of video at SGAG. I left my position there sometime in February, and I took a break. I was kind of trying to figure out like what I want to do next. Most recently, what I've been up to is that I've been doing freelance social media consulting. So I work with SMEs to kind of figure out how they can use social media to their advantage. I also work with some production houses to do a little bit of like strategy pitching for social media content. So some production houses, they specialize in video and they've got directors and all that, but they don't necessarily know how to package like a whole social media campaign that sometimes they're being asked to do. And so in those instances, I help them to come up with a strategy that incorporates video production and social media strategy into one lah.
And this sounds also like it's probably a more recent thing, this kind of approach.
Yeah, I mean, I think prior to that, like people just think like, hey, I'm just going to create some videos. They don't really think about like the strategy behind it, you know, what ties it together, what's the release strategy, which platforms do it, how do I make sure that it's successful, like what metrics am I looking at, these kinds of questions. You don't really think about traditionally when you're a video production house, but these are services that people are looking for now.
Yeah, I think, you know, most video production houses I've worked with and most media companies I work with, they fall back into the whole tactical thing. It's all deliverables, tactics, you know, what am I actually doing? What are the assets I'm creating?
Yep.
But how does it all fit into an overarching strategy, right? Which is going to be the focus of our discussion today.
Yep.
I want to see like, how do you measure its effectiveness? How do you know you're successful?
Right.
You could be continuing to do this for a long period of time, or you're tying it to the wrong kind of metrics. Like if you're doing something for awareness, you look at the revenue. This is the wrong play, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. So then you will never feel like you're successful.
Right.
Yeah, let's go back to this whole idea about your consulting work and what you're doing now. With all this experience and all the gear that you've accumulated working through social media, does it ever really get old for you?
Not really, actually. I think with social media, the landscape's always changing. I think there are certain things that stay the same all the time, like, you know, telling stories, bringing value to the viewers, things like that, they remain. But the execution like is always changing and you need to like be constantly testing them. So I mean, just as an easy example, maybe at the start of TikTok, like dance videos are the trend, right?
Dear God.
Yeah. And all the lessons say like, hey, if you want to be successful on TikTok, I need to do dance videos. But I mean, obviously, if you use that as your lesson and you stick to it, then you find yourself getting left behind.
Speaking about that, when you said, the dancing thing.
Wait, I know you danced.
Wait.
you dance. I want those dancing videos.
Okay, wait.
It's going to be here in the middle of the podcast, is it? Yeah.
Firstly, what I was going to say was not about my dance history. But yeah, I used to dance. Okay, but yes, okay,
Oh,
but
that's
okay, but
wonderful.
let's put it aside. Okay, that was not what I was going to say. So imagine if you're a business owner who knows you need to do something for your business on the social media space.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, you got to be on social, got to be on social.
Yep.
Yeah, but I like, oh no, do I have to put my
hate
face out there? Do
social.
I go do stuff like that?
Right,
Oh, no.
right. So, if you think that it's really crucial to the health of your business, you pull up your pants and you do the accounts. And then hopefully once you're successful, you find somebody who can take over that task for you. Social media is now becoming such an important part of the business. It's not an afterthought anymore, right? Yeah, it can be, in fact, for some brands, it's like entirely part of their strategy, right? Their business strategy relies on it. So in that same way, it can't be like, I want to run a business, but I don't like selling, so I'm not going to sell it. It doesn't make sense,
Yeah,
right?
I can't imagine someone in fashion, right, not being on social. You can't be showing off the stuff that you have.
I saw something, Loewe. I think they had a huge brand change, like they were very old fashioned, and then suddenly one new designer came and then they completely embraced social media. They do like the trendy stuff, and then now it's really, Loewe is started to trend also. So
Right.
I think if you haven't seen that, I think you should go and check out their TikTok and Instagram, and what they're doing is really interesting, different from the rest of the fashion brands, which is really cool.
I haven't actually seen that. I will check it out.
I'm the target audience, I guess. And I don't buy Loewe, sorry.
Yeah, that's why I was like wondering, how are you the target audience?
My wife.
Seeping into your life.
Oh boy. Another question would be then as solopreneurs or
Right.
entrepreneurs, right? I'm starting out on social media. Do I put it in my personal or do I put it out on a new business account, for example?
Right. I mean, I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer to this. And in fact, I think this kind of ties in, like even before the existence of social media, this kind of thing exists, right? I mean, if you look at somebody like Steve Jobs, for example, he's like the face of the brand, right? So in essence, like faces of the brand have existed even before social media existed. It was just that now it's easier to be the face of the brand. How I look at it is from like the pros and cons side, right? Are you good on camera? Is that one of your skills? Is it one of your strengths? If you're strong on camera, then the first question is like, okay, can it be leveraged for the business? And if it can bring value to the business, then really start considering like being in front of camera. But if you're terrible in front of camera and you just want to be there because like some guy online says like, hey, if you're a business owner, you should be in front of the camera because like, you got to front the thing. Maybe you shouldn't be in front of the camera. Maybe you bring more value like being in the shadows and finding someone who will be a better brand ambassador. But yeah, being a brand ambassador for your own brand and using your own personal page, it has its pluses and minuses. Like you can really tell the authentic story. As the business owner, you know best and you embody best what the brand is about. But on the other hand, it could be dangerous as well, right? I mean, it could mean that you're tied to the brand like very strongly. Like when you are not around, does the brand like survive? Like things like that. In the longer term, you have to think about that as well.
Would you definitely recommend someone at least do one or two of these videos? I mean, not on a consistent level, just to keep carrying on that whole idea of authenticity that you brought up.
If you are good at it. If you are good at it and you really have a good, like, authentic standpoint, like, as in your purpose is worth sharing, right? Not all brands operate in that way or have, like, some grand purpose. Yeah, I do talk about, like, the importance of purpose when it comes to selling to the younger generation. That's definitely something that they value a lot. And yeah, so, I mean, if that's your target market, then perhaps being in front of the camera and, like, talking about your mission and purpose is something that matters to them.
I'm very curious, have you seen a case of when, if you are the face of the brand, it becomes detrimental? Have you seen a case like that happen before?
There's a lot. I mean, there are a lot of people who sell like their personal services, whether it's like being a property agent or being a financial advisor. And I'm sure we've watched some of those and gone like, who is going to give this guy their money? Which guy falls for this shtick? But maybe, you know what? Maybe it works for a certain audience and maybe it doesn't work for us. So it might be detrimental to certain audiences, but it might be resonating with certain audience.
To me, trying to follow the trend is itself the detriment. You should never ever try and follow the trend for the sake of following a trend to get something in return.
I mean, trend jacking is a thing. It's a very powerful thing. I think you have to be intentional, and when you think about, hey, I want to do a trend, right? You can't just pick something and go like, I'm going to do this trend because it's popular. I mean, there's some correct process there. Yes, you are picking a popular trend. So like likely there's more word of mouth. But you need to also ask yourself, like, if I do this trend, does it resonate with my brand? Am I going to be able to create a content piece that adds value to the tens and thousands of other people who are going to be riding on this trend as well? I mean, that's the very fact that you have to deal with when you jump on a trend, right? It's the fact that you're fighting with a sea of noise. And so if you're going to jump on the trend, fine. But what are you going to do different? Say, for example, again, like a silly one, just like maybe there's a dance trend, right? And everybody's dancing to a particular song. If you're going to do that trend, like, are you going to dance particularly better? Are you going to like feature a guest who nobody else thought was going to be in that dance? Are you going to like subvert expectations and dance in a completely different style? Like, these are ways that, yeah, you're riding the trend, but you're adding some value to the viewer that they don't get from just, you know, a pure copy, right? A pure copy is not going to do anything for you.
It needs to be very intentional. Really thought of.
I guess in terms of subverting expectations, it's just really finding a meme or a trend and then trying to figure out like how can you like spin that on its head in a funny way that people don't expect. Honestly speaking, when it comes to like trends, there are so many different like sub niches now, like sub genres, and so many different pockets of people because there's just so much content. In fact, whenever I'm watching content on TikTok, it's a thing where I tell my creative team like, hey, I'm watching like, I'm always getting old people TikTok, so I ask them to like send me more TikToks so that I can get the algorithm thinking that like, hey, this guy actually likes enjoying watching stuff that younger people do.
Actually, that's not a bad idea, right? Like if the one you mentioned earlier, where you get your creative team to just feed your algorithm. I think it's quite interesting. Like I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah. Let's flip the script a little bit. If you're a millennial trying to hit the boomer market, watch the boomer videos.
Exactly.
Right? Get some boomer to send me those videos, or at least those good morning, it's Saturday kind of videos, right?
It works.
It works,
It works. I think that's the thing, right? You have to like kind of wipe away these preconceived notions that you're coming up with without any experience. You got to go and experience it yourself, and then you will understand.
Otherwise, what you end up doing is creating content for yourself that you like, not what your target customer wants to see or likes.
So, what are some of the some ways that our listeners, right, can trigger content ideas?
I think the most important thing, like any creative will tell you in order to create creative content, is to consume content, right? One is consume content. Make sure that you're watching as much social media content as you can, and mindfully, right? I mean, don't just watch the things that you want to watch. Like, watch the things that you want to create. If you're just watching the things that you enjoy, you might end up like, if I like documentaries, I'm like just watching documentary videos on TikTok all day, and maybe my brand doesn't.
Not only that, you just waste your whole day flipping.
And I think the next thing that's really important is really like go and experience life also. Like, that's really important to be able to create content, because the content that does well is the content that resonates with people. And in order for some piece of content to resonate with somebody, it has to have some kind of like insight or truth. I'll give you an example. We've all seen this content piece. It's like POV, you're with your partner trying to figure out what you want to eat for dinner, right? Everybody relates to that, right? And that's something that you can only get from like going out there and experiencing life, right? Or having a partner or knowing somebody who has a partner. Then you get to see and understand these like universal truths that everyone can relate to. And those are the ones that go viral. Those are the videos that really resonate with people.
So let's talk about planning and scheduling, right? So I, as an entrepreneur, I have a small business.
Right.
But then even with a small team, I still do a lot of things myself.
Yep.
How in the world do I then keep up with posting consistently? Are there any tips and tricks for like entrepreneurs to sort of manage this process, to keep constantly posting things and ideas?
Everything connects back to having purpose for your social media. If you know what the purpose of your social media is, then you will know how much resource and time to dedicate to it, right? I think that's the struggle a lot of companies, SMEs have. They don't know what they want to do with their social media. And then because you don't know what you want to do with it, then how do I know, should I put 20 hours of my time into it? Should I put 10% of my time into it? And you can't figure out because you don't know what you're expecting in return. And therefore, when you don't know what you're expecting in return, you become reluctant to, do the due diligence and put in the hours for it.
Yeah, I think that understanding that one of the metrics that you're trying to get, like engagements or likes or follows or whatever that is, it leads on to other metrics that you're also trying to get to. And that a certain percentage of those engagements will convert into the next step. So
there's once when I think I went on a close to 30-day consistent posting, maybe just break on Sunday. And one of my best clients that came out later, I think, how do you get to know me? And it was a really big client here in Singapore. And I was like, you got to thank whoever's doing your social media. It's like we completely were searching for a production house. We saw you on doing it behind the scenes on TikTok. and it hit. You have to be purposeful, I feel, and like in our case, when we did behind the scenes content, we were already going to do the shoot anyway. It's just more of getting all the team members. You got a free hand, take up a phone and shoot something. We'll just consolidate everything and then shoot. One person, be it myself or the intern or the marketing, will just do a video, right? So I think that was how I try to manage scheduling and posting, I guess.
Right. I mean, I think the example you pointed out is a point that I wanted to bring up about social media as well, is that you have to recognize that with a lot of marketing and with social media, there's like this delayed gratification. You're not going to see an instant result the minute you put up your video, you know?
We always hear, right? Yeah, I mean, here's videos about like, oh, engaging is so important. You have to engage. So what's your take on it? Like, should we really keep engaging on the comments especially?
Yep.
So is there like a formula to like, when do I reply and when should I reply them?
I hate that I'm always giving like contextual answers, but I feel like when you want to do things properly, all these answers are contextual, right? Because it boils down to like, what is your brand identity? Are you like a service brand? Are you a product brand? If you're a product brand and like people are complaining about your product, then you better like engage instantly.
Like immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you might want to have your customer service team like integrated with managing like some of the replies on your social media platform. But I mean, if you're a like photography studio, you know, it's unlikely that you're going to have comments like that, right? And so then you don't dedicate like so much of your time like having a customer service representative like on your social media. That's why I say like it really depends on the brand and what you're doing on social media. Everything at the end of the day ties back to what are you trying to do on social media? What is the goal there? Then you can figure out like, okay, maybe I'm a service brand and, you know, my service is very difficult for people to understand and there are always questions. Then, yeah, dedicate somebody. You need to understand like, what are you doing there on social media?
Or, you know, take the feedback seriously and relook at what you're doing with your product and the service that you're doing. You might have to like really rethink it if no one understands what you're doing.
Yep.
It's time to take a long, hard look at how you're presenting it, right?
And you said that photography doesn't really get that kind of comments.
Oh no, I feel bad. Sorry.
I did receive some sort of, you know, nasty comments before. It could be one of two things. It could be trolls.
Oh man, I've got trolls before. Those are fun.
But sometimes it could be they really don't word it right. They can't word it properly. So I mean, sort of like understanding what they mean behind it and maybe look back, oh, is it really something that I missed out or I did not do well or maybe something I can improve in. So I think my advice would be don't take it too hard in yourself. Look at the comment, maybe engage with them. So, oh, okay, I got it. I understand. Let me try to work on it and things like that. Because some people can be a bit sensitive and sometimes they take it really hard on themselves and, you know, they get very affected by it. I mean, talking about that, right, in your days working social media, both on YouTube and even SGAG, right, were there times when you had a campaign go out and there was some backlash
Oh
to
yeah, that's the thing about social media, right? It happens, and sometimes it comes out of the blue, right? As much as you can when you're putting out content, try to be aware of like whether there's any potential risk of like backlash. I think this is more important like for myself because I do comedy. So when you're doing comedy, you know, sometimes there are touchy subjects and everybody's barometer of what is right and wrong is always changing. It's subjective. So tip number one, if you're going to do comedy and you're going to have hot takes, be prepared, right? If you know that you're going to put out a piece of content that could potentially have backlash, when you release it, monitor it. The next thing is like always act quickly on it. No matter what your next decision is going to be, whether you're going to take down the content piece, whether you have to put out an apology, whether you don't do anything, think and react to it quickly. And which of those actions that you decide to take really depends on the circumstances. Sometimes it's like a very vocal minority and, you know, there's some backlash, but then you find out that, actually the guys who are following me and who are my true fans are actually not affected by it. And in fact, some of them are standing up for me. Sometimes that happens on social media. Then okay, don't need to take action. You know, you sit back and let the moment pass. Sometimes it's better to, you know, just take down the post. If you've been monitoring it quickly and the backlash came hard and fast, it's still in very early stages of this social media piece that you put out, just take it down and very unlikely that somebody will have like archive it unless they have some kind of thing against you. And then finally, if you're going to apologize, just don't make excuses, do your apology and state what you're going to do better next time and then just move on from there.
Does the internet have a short memory, you think?
Yes and no.
Yeah, the app took a while for it to go down.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Oh, we went crazy among creatives.
Did you see
No,
that?
I didn't watch that one.
The iPad commercial.
Okay.
The comments are more fun than the actual commercial.
It's launched a new iPad.
Yep.
They put all the creative items in the world of things like guitars and, you know, paint,
machine.
everything. Everything is fun and happy in this world.
Right.
Put it into a machine and it went crush, everything flat. You know, in the day of AI, this is not really great. And then it comes
Right.
up, you see the iPad there flat. So they're
Right.
trying to say like everything squeezed
Right,
into
it's
one
in
small
there
iPad,
lah.
right?
Yeah, enables your creativity, but it came across as we crush your dreams, man. Put it in there. Here's an iPad.
Right.
You probably have assigned members in your team to handle contingencies. If this happens,
Oh, yeah, for
well,
sure.
this is what you do. If this happens poorly and there's certain levels of backlash, you are going to be in charge of solving the thing.
Yep.
The reason why I bring that up is I think a lot of companies, they fear the backlash, so they decide not to post at all.
Right.
And I think there's a missed opportunity there. If you're planning ahead for contingencies and to implement immediately, you're never going to fear that because you're prepared for whatever might happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a case with a lot of content strategy that brands come up with, right? They always want to go with the safest option. But yeah, if you do that, then you're definitely not going to get great results. Lah.
Yeah. So push the envelope a little bit, you would say?
Yes, push the envelope, but like you mentioned, have like a plan to deal with like whatever might come of it. Lah.
What's the TLDR version that you want to leave us
Of
with?
Aaron Khoo, yeah.
Oh, Aaron Khoo.
Okay, I think when it comes to social media, my TLDR is that it all boils down to the fact that what are you asking from people when they watch your social media? You're asking for their attention, and that attention is currency that they're paying you. They're literally paying you their attention. And so if somebody is paying you for something, you have to give them something in return, and that's the value of your content that you create. So like always remember that no matter what piece of social media content you're creating, you're asking for people's attention and you have to give them something in return. And if you give them something in return, they'll come back.
Awesome. That is brilliant.
That's brilliant.
Hey, we'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences with social media content and strategy. You can share your ideas or questions with us. Don't forget to subscribe to the Marketer's Cookbook for more insightful episodes. For more resources, check out HubSpot's Social Media Marketing Guide, Hootsuite's Social Media Strategy Template, and Neil Patel's Social Media Marketing Tips. Until next time, happy marketing.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It was fun.